Hey, Connection Group leaders. A quick update this week. Our starting point lunch is Sunday, the 16th. Almost forgot the date. Sunday, the 16th, starting point lunch. So if you have visitors or guests in your groups over the last couple weeks or even Sunday, let them know about the lunch. It's in the loft directly after the second service. All right. We look forward to seeing them there. Thanks.
Hey, y'all. I'm here to talk to you about Acts 10. A huge theme to note throughout the book of Acts is God's involvement, God's evident involvement in the birth, the growth, and the expansion of the early church. And he uses those who have put their faith in him. He uses them very mightily. And so you would say, in other words, a theme of Acts is a spirit that moves and a faith that follows. And so where the spirit moves, faith in the one true God follows. Acts 10 follows the conversion of Saul to Paul and his early ministry, as well as part of Peter's ministry. And this is where we find ourselves in chapter 10 is Peter's ministry. And he has just escaped to Joppa, which is the modern day Tel Aviv, mostly because of the persecution happening in Jerusalem. So it wasn't safe for him to be in Jerusalem any longer. And so he left and went to Joppa and stayed with Simon, who was a tanner. And so the first few verses of Acts 10 talks about Cornelius, who is a centurion, which means he's a Roman. He has huge power and huge influence, and he's over a lot of men and a lot of people. And so that, combined with the fact that he's described as a God-fearer, is a huge deal. But you could be Roman and have huge influence and be a God-fearer and pray to the one true God. That rarely happens. And so in this passage, the Lord sends him a vision, and he is sent off to, or he sends men off to go retrieve Peter, who in the vision is told has relocated to Joppa. Meanwhile, Peter has a vision, and he has a vision of unclean animals, and he is commanded to eat them. And so when he receives his vision, it is evident that he's perplexed. He's very much so. This goes against everything that he grew up knowing. And so he's commanded to eat. But man, those regulations, those Jewish regulations, have a huge stronghold on him, because he is not eager, to follow the Lord in this way. And so the Lord intervenes in this passage, basically, and shows us that the Old Testament law had been fulfilled by the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And because of that, he was showing Peter that the regulations were no longer necessary for Jews and Gentiles to come together to fellowship. Because in making the unclean food clean, God shows that table fellowship and the acceptance of Gentiles are necessary. And it's actually what separated Jews from Gentiles, this table fellowship of not eating common foods. And so he uses the picture of unclean food made clean to symbolize that Gentiles can be a part of God's kingdom and a part of his salvation. And so one thing that I love about the book of Acts is how the Lord uses men and women who have put their faith in him in mighty, mighty ways. And when they're willing to obey and listen to him, it's amazing the miracles that he does through them. And it has been evident in my own life. When I am obedient to the Lord, he uses me in mighty ways. And having grown up in Thailand overseas, I'm an MK, a missionary kid, meaning I'm a daughter of a missionary. But I very much saw myself as a missionary growing up, because my mom and dad included me in their ministry. And one thing I saw in my dad's life is a zeal to be readers of the word and then doers of the word. And so he and my mom instilled in me a desire to see and read and see what the Lord does in the Bible, and getting to see that the principles reduplicated in my dad's life, in my life, and the miracles that have happened through it is amazing. And it's so neat how the Lord invites us in to build his kingdom with him together. And it is marvelous to be able to be a part of that. And so I've seen in my own life that the no's that the Lord gives me are yeses for other things. And so the doors he closes, there are open doors somewhere else that he wants me to go through. And so I have learned in rejection, I have learned in, because I think rejection is a huge way that the Lord has used to show that he is alive and present in my life. Rejection, whereas it might not feel great in the moment, means that the Lord has something better and something great for you, something that is according to his plan. So I encourage you, after reading this passage, to be willing to have your traditions and your ideas of the Lord completely revolutionized. Because oftentimes we find the ways that culture, the church, and friends and family, the way they shape God is not how actually God is. And so I would encourage to allow the Bible to shape who God is and to believe what he says is true.
Hey y'all, today I'm in TJ's office because TJ's actually in my office doing some stuff, so we just switched. But today we get to talk about missions and about the gospel. I'm really passionate about missions because my in-laws are up in Seattle as missionaries, and I miss them dearly every single day. And so missions is something that's really close to my heart. So I'm talking about the second half of our lesson, which starts at verse 34. And man, like, drive in the gospel, you guys, and that's pretty easy for a lot of you now, but especially if you're working with kids or students, really take the time to walk them through and make sure that they understand some of these points, that Jesus died for everybody. This is awesome because up until now, salvation was pretty much just bottled up with the Jews, but God's economy in this moment for salvation, his economy for salvation shifts radically. The door of salvation into salvation opens up to the Gentiles, and it is no longer based on national identity. Instead of salvation being centered on our identity and our good works, it is instead focused on the identity and goodness of Jesus. And really, y'all, just take the time and have those really intentional conversations this Sunday. And that's what I have for you guys. If that's the one thing that you guys are focused on, then man, it's going to be a great day. So I will see y'all.